guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about Benidorm. So I lived in Benidorm for about a year. It is a very interesting city. I think a lot of people are very interested in it. It's really big in the UK. I think it has a very interesting reputation. A lot of people are curious about the city. I know I was before I moved there, and living there gave me a lot of really cool experiences, and I learned a lot about the history, the norms, and all of that. So I wanted to share some information about that before you guys either make the move or go to visit, because I did learn a lot and I did find some really cool places to go to and things that you can do. And also I wanted to give some information about living there, which I share towards the end, so make sure you watch the whole video so you can learn more about what rent's like and the societal norms, I guess. But before we get into it, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and hit subscribe down below. It means the world to me. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start off with some history about Benidorm. Benidorm was a small fishing town until around the 1960s, when all this money started getting funneled into Benidorm to build these super big skyscrapers, because they were like, this is going to be the new Las Vegas of Europe. But then Spain had its economic crisis, and in I think the 80s or 90s, Benidorm started going downhill, and people weren't really buying these skyscrapers and these apartments and all this property like they anticipated. So Benidorm lost its value, which made these skyscrapers, either they were stopped being built, like the construction and everything was stopped. There's this super tall building that I think they just stopped building it. I think it's the tallest building in Benidorm. I'll insert a picture right here. They just stopped building it. A lot of buildings, they just halted production and construction, which caused the property values to go down, which made it cheaper and more accessible for people of a lower economic status to move into and visit. So a lot of people from England would come to Benidorm for vacations because it's cheaper, and it kind of became like this British enclave of Spain. A lot of Spanish people don't even consider it to be truly Spanish because of all the foreign people that have moved to Benidorm and also visit for holidays. There's a whole section in Benidorm, which I'll get to later, which is just British. It's called the British section, and it is very British. But that's kind of the history. Another cool fact is that the bikini was first made legal in Benidorm. I think that's for Spain. In Spain, Benidorm was the first city to have bikinis legally. Another cool thing about Benidorm is it has the most skyscrapers per capita in the world. Yes. They kind of call it sometimes the New York of Spain. It's nothing like New York, let me just tell you that. But it does have a lot of skyscrapers everywhere. But the reason why they have the most skyscrapers per capita is because the population of Benidorm is very low. I think the population is around 30 to 40,000 people, but there are hundreds of skyscrapers. I lived in a high-rise apartment building when I was there, and they're very accessible. The rent is quite cheap, if I do say so myself, which I enjoy, which I will also get to later. The nightlife is very popular for bachelor parties, bachelorette parties from the UK. A lot of people come to Benidorm. Actually, a famous person, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner had part of her bachelorette party in Benidorm, actually the year I was there, last year, which was quite interesting. I was like, why would they come to Benidorm for a bachelorette party? But to each their own. And Benidorm also was made famous through a TV show called Benidorm. This was basically the equivalent to the Jersey Shore for the US, where people from the UK came and they worked in a hotel, and it was just kind of like a rowdy show showing Benidorm's like rowdy nightlife, which gave it a lot of publicity. And that's kind of the background and history of Benidorm, what it is, where it is, and all of that. Now I'll move into the layout of Benidorm. So there are two main beaches in Benidorm. There is Poniente and Levante. So Levante, if I can insert a map right now, I'll do that. Levante is on the north side of Benidorm. If you're looking at it as the coast is going down the coast, Levante is on the north. That is the more touristy beach, the more popular beach. It is closer to the British section. It is really nice. I kind of lived closer to Levante and I would go there quite often. There's a lot of bars and restaurants along the beach, along the Malecon. You can go running there. It is quite crowded in the warmer months, but in the winter months, it is less crowded and very nice to take a stroll and go for a walk, hang out. This is, like I said, the more popular beach. And then there is Poniente, which is on the other side of the Mirador. So the Mirador of Benidorm is a really big site to visit, tourist destination, very picturesque and everything. It's very beautiful actually. And Poniente is on the other side of that. That is a more local beach. There are, of course, tourists that visit that side as well, but you will find more of the Spanish people, the Valenciano people, because Benidorm is in the region of Valencia, in that area, and it is a bit longer. There's some volleyball courts and it is near the Spanish section, the Barrio Viejo, the old town, which is more authentically Spanish. And I like that area too. I actually ended up visiting that beach more towards the end of my stay in Benidorm. My friends live closer to it and it was nicer to walk over there and hang out because it was less crowded than Levante. And Benidorm is kind of like a cove. So there are mountains on the end of Levante and then there are mountains on the end of Poniente, and this kind of creates a cove of a city that is Benidorm. And actually where I worked was on the complete end of Levante. That area, it was actually called Serra Helada or Gelada was the school that I worked at, and it was right by, what's it called? Aqualandia, which is a super famous water park in Spain. People actually know of Aqualandia all over Spain. And I literally was working next door to it. If you watch my old vlogs, you would literally see that it is the next door thing to my school. Like, you have the water park out the window. It's crazy. Actually, I want to show you guys that this school is literally right next door to this huge water park. So I worked super far to the north side of Benidorm, which was kind of annoying because I did live in the center, didn't have a car. It was about an hour walk and I would mostly walk, but sometimes I would take the bus. It was up a mountain also, and over here you can go hiking. There's a Cristo, like a very big cross. Not Cristo, it's La Cruz. It's a cross, it's a La Cruz. So you can go hiking up to La Cruz. You have a beautiful view of all of Benidorm. I have a picture from it, but it was at nighttime, so you can't see that well, but I will insert it right here. So that was cool too. And then you can also go hiking on the other side of Benidorm near Poniente at the end. There's also a really nice lookout over the ocean over there. And then there's also Puig Campana, which is the mountain, the tallest mountain. So Benidorm is also surrounded by huge mountain, not huge mountains, but mountains nonetheless. It is like an arid climate. And so you can go hiking up Puig Campana, which is interior to Benidorm, so inland. So there are a lot of hiking trails and natural things that you can do around the city. Let's get into food. So I was not too impressed with Benidorm's food. It was good, there were good restaurants, but I would mostly cook at home. I love Mercadona. So if you're gonna be going grocery shopping in Benidorm, I suggest going to, obviously, Mercadona. There were two, I believe, or actually there's three. There's a big one by the bus station, in the bus terminal station, which is like more interior, like I said before about the mountains. And then there's one in the center, which is probably really accessible for people who are visiting and staying closer to the beach. And then there was one right next to my apartment. Which road did I live on? Avenida. How am I forgetting my address? It's been so long. It was right by my center, which is by City Hall. There's another Mercadona there. Love Mercadona, would highly recommend. They have amazing chocolate croissants, I'm just saying, and orange juice. But the food, the restaurants were pretty good. There's a lot of British food. You can find authentic Spanish food but it's more touristy. It's not the most, it's not like going to Valencia or Alicante for food. Let me just put it that way. But there is an area if you're looking for good tapas and pinchos. So tapas are from Andalusia, the south of Spain. It's the tradition there. And pinchos are from the north of Spain and the Basque Country. They're similar concepts. So pinchos are a little bit bigger. It's like a piece of bread with a heap of whatever, like an open sandwich sort of. And tapas are like come with your drink. It's a little different concept. But there's a place called Tapas Alley, which have a lot of pinchos and tapas, and I would recommend going there. You can get very good octopus, you can get steak, which you cook on your own, and it's really good, and all that stuff. So if you are looking for authentic Spanish food, I think that's your best bet, and that's in the old town, Barrio Viejo, near the center, kind of near the Mirador. And then if you want some British food, which I don't know why you would want British food if you're like moving to Spain, unless you like are from England and you really miss it, or if you're Spanish and you want to try something new, I don't know. You can get so much British food, like eggs with beans and those tomato stewed beans. Honestly, sometimes they're good. And sausages and whatever in the Barrio Londres, or the British section of Benidorm. You can find it almost anywhere, honestly, and it's pretty cheap, pretty good. I would recommend those two things. There is a cafe I used to go to quite often, which is more in the center, not so close to the beach, but it was really good right by where I used to live, and I'm forgetting the name. Let me look it up. Saltoki Cafe, and they have everything you could ever want. Their menu is huge, super cool to chill and hang out at. I would go there with my friends and just work on my laptop a lot, and it was just a really like comfortable place to chill. So let's move right into the nightlife of Benidorm. This is what Benidorm is known for. People come from all over the UK to Benidorm to party. I was not in Benidorm for the months of July and August, which is apparently when the parties are the craziest. And honestly, I'm kind of glad I wasn't there for that, because towards the end, when I was leaving Benidorm, it was getting pretty crowded. And when I just got there, it was dying down a bit. It was around September, so the high season was kind of ending. But there are tons of people from the UK that come to Benidorm to party, and they go crazy. It's like they forget about everything and they just go absolutely bonkers, if that's what they say over there. There's the area, like the British area, and they have so many bars that play UK top hits and rock, and they have like an electrical bull, and you can just go bar hopping around there. The one that we would always go to was called Red Dog. Then there was another one which I forgot the name of, but I'll write right over here, which was also a lot of fun. That area is wild. I would definitely say be careful, because people can get in fights and it can get pretty crazy. And then there's another area which you can go to if you're looking for more of an authentic reggaeton Spanish party scene. It's in the Barrio Viejo, and you can go to a club called Posada. And there's also, in that same street, that alley, there are a lot of different reggaeton clubs over there. And Posada is really cool because it has a window facing the beach. It's like on a cliff basically, and you can literally see the waves rolling up the beach, and it's like you're looking out into the sea, and it's super beautiful. So I would recommend going there if you're looking for a good Spanish party, since you are visiting Spain or moving to Spain, whatever you're doing. And I want to talk a little bit about the Mirador de Benidorm. That was the most English sounding, like bad accent of Spanish that I've ever spoken. But it's basically a lookout over the sea, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'll insert a picture right here. I just was Googling something about Benidorm for this video, and I saw that they demolished it. Apparently, it lays under an important site to Benidorm's history, and the Spanish government, I think, demolished it to do some excavating to see about the history of Spain or something, and they're gonna rebuild the whole thing by the end of this year or September, I think they said. But I don't know if that's gonna happen with coronavirus and everything. Also, Spain sometimes is not the most efficient at getting things done in a timely manner due to costs or labor or whatever it is. So I would keep that in mind if you were thinking about visiting Benidorm once COVID is ending and hoping to see that that you may not be able to. There are a lot of other good places where you can get good views of the water and like picturesque areas, but that was a cool one and it's not there right now. So I'm so sorry for you guys. That's basically my take on Benidorm. Let me go into what it was like living in Benidorm a bit. I lived in Benidorm for about 10 months, so almost a year. I was working there. It was cool, but let me explain a little bit more. So I wanted to live in Madrid or Barcelona, and then I got placed in Benidorm. Wasn't really too excited about going there just because I wanted to be in a bigger city. Benidorm is about 35 to 45 minutes from Alicante's airport, and that is the closest airport to the city. And then there's Valencia, which is about an hour and a half away. And I am very big on traveling. Obviously, I have a travel YouTube channel, so I also wanted the convenience of living in Madrid and having all of those cheaper flights, more available and direct, so I could take weekend trips because I was working 4 days a week. So I was planning on taking a lot of 3-day holidays. That was kind of a turn off. Also, the history of Benidorm, knowing that it was more British. I wanted to practice my Spanish a lot, which I was able to do. A lot of people in Benidorm also speak Valenciano, and they don't speak Spanish as well because, I mean, though they speak Spanish fine, but a lot are more comfortable, especially in the school that I was working at, with speaking Valenciano, which is similar to Spanish. It's more like Catalan. It's like a mix between Italian, Spanish, and French, I would say. And so that's another thing about Benidorm, living there. You might want to learn a little bit of Valenciano, which I did, which is super cool to say. My rent was amazingly cheap, which was a really big plus because I was getting paid about 1,000 euros a month. My rent ended up being about 250 euros a month. I did have 2 roommates. The apartment was kind of older, but it was not bad. And it was in a good location. I had an amazing view of the water, which you probably have seen in my other Benidorm vlogs. And I'll leave links to all of my Benidorm vlogs down below, which have a lot more information about the city. Being my age, I'm 24 now, but when I moved there, I was 22. 23, living in Benidorm, it was kind of not the easiest place to meet a lot of young people because there isn't a university in the city, and a lot of people move to Alicante or Valencia or Barcelona, Madrid, wherever it is, for college. So most of the people were older. It is a big retirement destination, so there are a lot of old people riding their scooters around town, running you over with their scooters. I'm not kidding. They will literally run you over with their scooter, and there's scooter charging stations. I'll insert the clip from my vlog. Is this area that perfectly describes Benidorm. I said before, and you guys probably know, lots of old people in Benidorm all ride scooters around. They will run you over with their scooters. They literally have charging areas like those. Welcome to Benidorm, where there's literally like scooter charging stations everywhere. It was an interesting time in my life, but I had fun. I met my 2 really good friends. We all became best friends instantly. Hannah and Rona, which you might have seen in my other videos also. It was fun. Would I live in Benidorm again? I don't think so. It's not really my type of city to live in. I do like bigger cities. I like having a lot of options with what I'm gonna do, meeting new people, events, concerts, whatever it is. I like just being where things are really happening, and Benidorm's kind of a place where you go to relax and disconnect, which is cool, and maybe in the future I will want to do something like that. But as of right now, I want to like do cool things, and Benidorm isn't the best place for that. Another thing I want to add is Benidorm's weather. So the weather is incredible in the summer, and even like I would say it starts getting warmer around April, and it's warm until like October, which is really good for Europe because obviously it's much colder in the UK and northern European countries, so Spain is a paradise for people from the north. But for me, I'm from Texas, and even in Spain it gets freaking cold, and the insulation in Spanish apartments and buildings isn't the best because especially along the coast, because it gets so hot in the summer, it just makes sense to make them equipped for the summer, which means they're cooler inside, floors were marble, windows were thinner. So I was freezing in the winter months. I was freezing in November, December, January, February, March, I think even April for a bit. I was using like my hot water bottle. The insulation in my apartment was really bad. And honestly, I felt warmer by the beach than I did in my apartment because the insulation was so bad. I just want to put that out there that if you are looking to move to Benidorm for the warm weather, it is warmer probably than Northern European countries, but it is still very cold in the winter, and that was a problem for me. I mean, maybe if I lived in a nicer apartment and had better insulation, it wouldn't have been as bad, but it was pretty cold, so take your jacket, take your winter coat if you're moving there. Lastly, I want to add that to get to Alicante, you can take the bus, which is about €5 each way, or €3.75 each way, I think. I took the tram. It was about $1 or €1.50 each way. It does take, I think, around an hour and a half to 2 hours using the tram. But it takes about 35 to 45 minutes in bus, depending on your budget. I was on a super strict budget. Obviously, I was just an English language assistant. I would usually try and stay within my budget and take the tram, but it is accessible. You can also take the tram to Altea, Albir, and other close by cities and towns all along the coast, and maybe go hiking and visit. Altea is super beautiful. I went a few times. Albir is super cool too. Or you could drive and rent a car. I personally did not do that. I just wanted to add that in because you could take a day trip to Benidorm if you're visiting Alicante and such. And I also have a few vlogs on Alicante and Albir. I'll leave the Albir and Alicante vlogs down below also, because those are really cool cities. Alicante is a lot bigger than Benidorm, more diverse, more Spanish, and has like a bit more of a nightlife and everything. That would be a really cool option for you to visit as well. I hope you guys found this video about Benidorm very helpful if you're planning on either moving there, visiting, or just curious about what Benidorm is, because I know I had no idea about Benidorm before I got placed there, and I got that letter saying that I would have to move there. I arrived in Benidorm by BlaBlaCar from Madrid. It was nighttime. I was completely alone. I didn't know a single person in Benidorm. My roommates at the time were from the Philippines. I had never met them before, and they were arriving a week or two later after me, so I was left to my own resources, and it was definitely a weird time. I actually have a vlog on that stuff. It's my vlog. I moved to Benidorm, so I'll leave that in the description. But I hope you found this helpful. If you have any more questions about Benidorm or would like me to make more videos explaining different parts of it, I totally can do that. I hope you found this helpful. I have a lot more videos about Spain, moving there, what it's like living there and all that, and I can obviously make more videos on that topic as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you haven't already, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and hit subscribe down below, and let me know if you've been to Benidorm, if you live there, what are your favorite things about Benidorm, and how do you feel about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.